really appreciate the earlies now because the only people that are training at 4 a.m. are successful people. And I remember the manager of the gym, martial artist, who really kind of governed me at Jeff Magruder's gym. He slapped me, and I was 13 because I asked a stupid question.
When you went into a commercial gym, squat, deadlift, bench, there was no putting 55, 45-pound plates on a leg press and doing half reps when you couldn't squat 80 pounds in a rack.
Here we go. Salute.
It's tough being 39.
Dude, you're not a day over 28. Don't even try me. Pretty boy. Holy shnikes.
Usually I'm wearing sweats and, but I'm on the Mike O'Hearn podcast, so I have to put respect on your name.
Oh. Speaking of names.
Yeah.
You have established something, but I never know how to say this because it seems as though, and maybe you can help me on this. I start driving home after I do shoulder press or squat or something just ridiculous.
Right.
And I drive home and I'm going, wow, I'm just glad I can do it. So who cares the crazy amount of weight I'm doing? I'm just happy I can do it. And I don't think it comprehends to people because of how you look that I first noticed you in the beginning of the 90s and this guy's on romance covers. He's freaking stud. He's strong. He's massive. He's huge. He's got everything. And dude, that's 30 years ago. So
right?
how do you relate going, we're just still healthy to do this?
It's you know what? It's a mind game, man. Because I know, you have Titan, and as he gets a little bit older, and you're standing on that sideline for football, and you're looking to your right and you're looking to your left, and there's dads in their 30s and 40s, and you're 50s, and there's always that one guy that comes up. He's like, I hope I look like you when I'm your age, and you're like, bro, you're never gonna look like anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's always somebody to remind you how old you are. I physically and mentally feel like I'm 25.
But you look it.
Some days.
So I got a question for you then. I'm going to get back to this, but I want to go.
Yeah.
Could you be here? I hate asking that. I don't think I could be here the way I am if I didn't start when I started.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
I would be a derivative. I'd be a percentage of what I am. But
no.
Yes.
You grew up in the time, well, we both did, where when you went into a commercial gym, squat, deadlift, bench, there was no putting 55, 45-pound plates on a leg press and doing half reps when you couldn't squat 80 pounds in a rack. I started training.
There was no days that you leg pressed.
No.
It's a secondary after you squat for 2 hours.
And then you hacked, and then you did leg extensions, or you warmed up. I started training with this guy, Joe Gazzi, who's an Olympic weightlifter, when I was 15. I walked into the gym. They're like, do you want the policeman or the fireman special? I'm like, guys, I'm only 15. They're like, really? Started training with this guy, Joe. He was an Olympic weightlifter. I had a pad on the squat. And
you got a pad on the back?
He took the pad.
Oh, come on.
He started beating me with it. So you can't do that these days. He's like, what the hell is wrong with you? He's like, we don't use pads. He's like, you want a maxi pad? And he threw it. And,
oh, my gosh.
But you went into the gym to lift as much weight as you possibly could. I did the pyramid 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2. But that's how we grew up. We had no fear. There were no cameras. There was nothing. Maybe we had the Walkman that skipped the Motley Crue song, but we just had.
That was before that. I didn't even have the Walkman. So I'm much older, but you're hitting it out of the park because you just said something that would. Remember, he hit you with the pad. I remember the manager of the gym, martial artist, who really kind of governed me at Jeff Magruder's gym. He slapped me, and I was 13 because I asked a stupid question.
Yeah.
And nowadays it's like he's the owner of the gym and he slaps me, a 13-year-old, across the face. But I remember that slap because I loved it later, going, I understand the dumbness that I was asking.
Yeah.
And it was no fear. And it was, again, the same thing as you. I had the greatest powerlifters in the world at that age.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like they shut the door. They trained, they talked the way they talked, they treated me like an adult. And so you and me grew up with that. With that being said, we're here now. We're still doing this.
Yeah.
At the most pinnacle level of the world.
More so now for both of us and more so for you. But I just going back to that. I remember I trained with Masters Nationals champion over 40, 50, 60, 70, Tony Pandolfo. This little guy used to train with Dennis Torino, all the Olympia guys, owned a moving truck. When I was in college, we would train at 4:30 in the morning, and then we would finish our workout by 6. I'd jump on the moving truck with him, move furniture all day, and go to school at night. However, Tony was from the school of train fast. So I was 20, 21, 3:15. He'd go 185. He's like, let's go. I'm like, you just did 185. He got so frustrated with me the first 2 times, he threw a dumbbell at me and hit me in the shin. And I didn't see anything. I was like, all right, 275. And then he's like, no, put 315 back on, but you're going to do it again. And like, I've always trained with that mentality. I've trained fast. I train hard. And a lot of people, I can't train with them. I get too frustrated. I can't do 6 sets, 9 sets. Like I remember seeing Ronnie Coleman at the Metrics gym, and I did like 40 sets of chest, and he was on his 5th set of squats, wrapping his knees. He's like, all right, buddy, let's go, Frank. There's more ways than one than skin a cat, because obviously he's Mr. Olympia and doing what he did, but that was never my mentality. I grew up like you train heavy, you train fast, and multiple sets, volume train.
I love that. I love that old school. I seriously miss it in this last, I don't know, I guess it's been a month now. I just stopped filming content in the gym. I just said no more right now. I want to get that nastiness back. I don't want to be governed.
It's frustrating.
It is because I know that I know that I want to give information to those that are open to receiving it and us explaining why we're still able to do what we do. But at the same time, you go, okay, but I'm losing what this means to me. Yeah, the gym always used to be about me. That was my safe space, my mental. I probably would have gone crazy if I didn't have that outlet to work out and to kind of mentally, forget about physically. But there was no interruptions. You trained. No one came up to you. You did your thing. Now it's about everybody else. And 9 out of 10 people are nice, but then you always get that one person who just kind of tries to ruin your day. Like I was in the gym the other day, and the guy came up to me and he's like, oh, what are you shooting for Instagram? I was on Instagram. There's a guy on there. He's 3 times your size, and he was benching 1,000 pounds for 10. And I was like, and the guy I was with, he's like, man, he's like, if this was 20 years ago, he goes, you would have. Yeah, I know my Frank would have knocked his block out.
I would have knocked him out. Holy. And now I'm looking, I go like this. He goes, what? I go, camera. I go, it's not worth it. I said, but you come back in your own way, like in a snarky kind of way. If it affects you. Sometimes it does. Sometimes you can walk away. Like come back and be like, oh, I know a guy on Instagram. He's not as fat as you, but like you could just, but it's not even worth it anymore. You just keep going. It sucks. It's kind of sucks. So that's why I go to the gym really early in the morning, or I train with Don over at his gym. So there's no one there except Don. So yeah, we're very like-minded in the way that we train.
I'm with you. I've always, since before the paper route as that 9-year-old, I trained early and I never stopped. And I really appreciate the earlies now, because the only people that are training at 4 a.m. are successful people.
Yes.
You're not going to find the lazy person. You're not going to find the Instagram person that's there at 4. They're midday.
No,
4 o'clock are are businessmen and women that are crushing it and go, I got to train from 4 to 5, get to the office by 6 and work till whenever. And it's just cool to be around that.
I remember seeing you when I went to California. I remember seeing you at the gym early in the morning, and I was there. I forget who you were training with, but I remember one of the first times I was there, I was deadlifting, you were bench pressing. You were doing like 405 or something. I was deadlifting. I think I had 585 on it, nothing crazy. And then Don Ross came up. He's like, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, he's like, "You're from the East Coast, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." But that was the kind of atmosphere I liked, the serious people. Like, I fed off people like you. Like, when I went to the gym.
You were deadlifting 635. Just so you know. It was 6.5. I remember that day. And I looked over there and I go, ooh, I like this.
Because I can appreciate you because you're tall. So when someone like, I don't know, someone, I'm not going to say, but when they squat or bend, I'm like, yeah, okay. They got little alligator arms or whatever. I'm like, you know what a range of motion that we have to go to? You know how many back issues I had deadlifting because, I mean, like, I just, it was awkward for me. But I grew up in a gym, my commercial gym, everybody was on steroids. Everybody. Like, everybody in Long Island, it was like the steroid capital of the world. But it was only around spring break. So these meetings.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
It was like 5 or 6 bodybuilders, but there were more like spring breakers that came into the gym. It was only a 6,000 square foot gym. And they would puff up. They would do like 1,000 milligrams of Cypionate a week. They'd get all strong, and they still couldn't bench. Because I started training when I was 13 in my basement for 3 hours. So I was repping 315 or whatever. They could barely
post those pictures. Because I've seen the pictures through the years of you at 13 and 15 hitting the double bicep. And you guys, again, you going through puberty. And I want to go into that discussion about us pre-puberty to after puberty and what we did and with the foundation we built. But I got a steroid, this same thing. I came from the greatest powerlifting gym in the world at that time. And these guys would do their squats, deadlifts. And I was around the Doug Furness, Doyle Kennedy, Jeff Magruder, and all the powerlifters. And they would just do this stuff and give each other shots after Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, push pull. And I grew up with that, seeing that kind of stuff. And it was cool for me at that age to be introduced to it and then getting slapped by the owner of the gym. Because I'm 13. Hey, what is this? And he cuffed me. And he goes, don't ever talk about that shit again. Oof. You're 13. Shut up. And I was glad about that at that age. But they still treated me like a man. They said, this is something, if you want to do it later in life. Yeah. Or something. But to see those massive humans setting world records and so monstrous and doing that, it really taught me a lot. It introduces us to the freaking meat of what the elites do. When I was 17, I weighed 225. Never touched anything. 18, 19, 20, 21, I think was my first show. I was 260 pounds already. And then on stage? No, I was 240 first show, 250 second show, 265 third show. Hold on, don't run over that because for you viewers watching this, you think back, the first guy that was massive and winning was Lee Haney at 242. Yes. 242. Barry Dene places 3rd or 4th at 228. It's like you're a massive monster of a human to be 240 on stage. And I had the opposite. So people were like, oh, what's the matter? Are you a wuss or this or that because you're not on anything or this or that? You're afraid to compete or you're afraid to do this? And I sought help from somebody who knew what they were doing. So when I started competing and I took steroids, I was like, I took one thing, I think it was a test, and I went from 2, and I dieted down for modeling jobs. I just did a Versace underwear thing, which was more money than I made in the first year of body, really. In any show combined together. Combined. I was like wearing, I think like 18 grand or whatever it was. And
I was like, I went to a show and I always loved bodybuilding. I'm like, wow, this is cool. I'm like, I could win this thing. And they're like, aren't you going to do the novice? I'm like, no way. I'm going to Eastern USA. I'm going to go to the whole show. They're like, you're not going to win. And I remember I had 10 weeks and I sought the help of someone who's a bodybuilder. And they're like, take these two things, these two compounds, this test and Primobolan, and take it. And I took it and I started with the test first. I went to 253 in 2 days and was covered in veins. Like, I think it was test suspension. I was like, what the hell? I was like, what is this?
It's like Captain America.
I was like Venom.
Yeah, you're Captain America. You go in the thing, and 2 days later, you're like, holy sheesh.